All right, Ryan Day has got some questions. Actually, he was asked some questions. Let me do that first. Ryan Day, y'all, was asked about the targeting, non-targeting call. He said he made a lot of phone calls after the game. I felt like it was targeting in the moment when things are moving fast. You can't see the replay. The hard thing for me is to understand is to have our medical staff know he was knocked out. Talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. unconscious. Excuse me, was knocked unconscious, and that's why we're not going to put him back in the game. The flag gets picked up for targeting. He goes on to say the explanation that was told to me was that it wasn't forcible enough. Then I asked to speak with the head of officials, Steve Shaw. He explained to me that the hit didn't go to Marvin's head. It wasn't a shot on right on his head, but to his shoulder. I completely disagree with that. Matt, I'm going to let you start first.
Yeah, well, he's wrong, but I get why he's still really salty about this. It was a bang bang play, right? Shoulder to shoulder. His star wide receiver out of the game. And I don't want to say that it changed the game, but it was a big play in the game. But that's what happens when you loft the ball, 50 feet in the air, and you got defenders who are ready to make a play. That's what they're doing. He was trying to make a play, and hard hits happen. That's football. That's what you get when you have two of the best teams in the country. I thought Ryan Day did a good job of preparing his team. I thought they played really well, and that was probably the best they played all year. So I understand why Ohio State fans are still, really, really upset by this, but they're wrong. It was not targeting, and they had plenty of opportunities to win the game. But like I've said before, they couldn't play with Georgia for 60 minutes. They're a great three-quarter team. They couldn't finish the drill, and a lot of it was on them. A lot of people say that Ohio State deserved to win. I think Kirby Smart said that after the game, Ryan, but they didn't deserve to win. If they deserved to win, they would have won the game. They would have played 4 quarters. So I never understood that part of it, but yeah, it was a bang bang play, but it was the correct call on the field. And I think one of the head guys was on TV with Kirk Herbstreit talking about, yeah, I agree. It was shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
It was not helmet to helmet, and we got to move on. You can't keep crying about this. I know he was asked about it, but
Right.
it is what it is.
Hey, go ahead, Ryan. I actually have your image up right here. So let's see what you've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great view of the play just through that giant lens, but it's just beyond me that there's stories being written about this now and there's questions being asked about this. That was over a month ago now, right? I mean, it's February 2nd. That was over a month ago. In the moment, it was not targeting. In the moment, it's not targeting now. I understand why you're upset. You come that close to going to the national championship and everything, but that play was huge. It was a huge play that I thought mattered a ton in that game. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably coming down with a touchdown if Javon Bullard doesn't make that hit. It was really a hell of a throw.
I'm not sure about that, but go ahead. He does not
You
have
don't think it
close.
was?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at your image right now. He's not catching the ball, and not only that, he
Is
is
he not?
no,
He dropped it right before
yeah.
it went through his hands before he got hit.
It hit.
Well,
He had his hands on it at some point.
let me go back to the image real quick. If I can. I can't
Is it
seem to.
what you used for that headline?
Yeah, I mean, you can see
I'm looking
it right.
at it. I'm looking at the
I
picture.
personally am doing a terrible job of editing on the fly here, but as you can see, he's not catching. The ball
Maybe
has
he's not
gone.
going to catch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if you're Javon Bullard, you're making that hit whether he's
no matter
catching it or
what.
not in the split
Yeah.
second. That's what you're taught to do.
The funny
I
thing is the Ohio State fan who is right behind him there with the Ohio State hat on. He's the photographer 343. He's like cheering from the sideline that something should, like a penalty should be thrown, which they did. And I caught that out of my eye watching the replay. And when you watch it live, Ryan, it looks like targeting. The problem was that it wasn't targeting at all.
I think if you watch it live really quickly,
Yeah.
maybe from certain angles you do, but it just never was because he didn't lead with the crown. This is not a defenseless receiver. This is someone trying to make a football play. I mean, it's just not targeting. And for Ohio State fans, that sucks. It was a game-changing play in a the biggest game they had played all year. It matters a lot. And Ohio, or what Matt was talking about, I think that Ohio State outplayed Georgia. I think they just got outplayed and outcoached in crunch time.
Hey, look, you can read about this game a lot in Double Dogs. Make sure you're picking it up. The link is down below. But Matt, okay, your name was mentioned. I'll just go ahead and do this real quick. I want to go ahead,
There you
Matt.
go.
Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, I think Ohio State played better than them for 3 quarters, but it's 4-quarter game, and Georgia came from behind. Georgia won the game, but when you give up a 14-point lead in the 4th quarter, there is some part of the choking aspect where you let the game get away. And
You're really going to go with the
won it at
choking
very
card
end.
on these guys, man? Hasn't it been enough? All right.
When you're down 14 points in the 4th quarter, you got to win that game. I don't care what happens in the 4th quarter. Georgia won the game. They obviously played much better than them in that, final 15 minutes. But yeah, you let the game get away, especially at the end when you're in field goal range or 5 yards away from being really in field goal range, and you blow those last 2 or 3 plays of the game and don't set your kicker up for a better kick. So
that was totally on Ryan Day too, man. Totally.
Yeah, totally. So like Ryan said, in crunch time, they let the game slip through their hands, and Georgia, being the reigning national champions, they know how to win those games. And it doesn't bother me, but it's funny to see, the Ohio State fans are always, Ohio are against everyone. It's the SEC gets all this treatment, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's out to get us. No, they're not. I mean, Jackpot Lesney hit a 50-yarder to win the Peach Bowl a few years ago against Cincinnati, right? Great kickers make those kicks when the game's on the line. So kicker could have done better. Their defense could have played a lot better in the 4th quarter. So Georgia deserved to win the game. And I know it hurts for those Buckeye fans because, again, I think that's probably the best they've played all year. They listened to me when I called them a soft, not physical football team the week leading up to that game. I'm glad I gave them some motivation, but it still wasn't enough. Maybe next year they'll be a little tougher and more physical and can play 60 minutes with the big boys. They're really good. They're a top 5 team in the country. I expect them to be really good again next year. But, you got to win these games, these big, important games against Michigan, against Georgia, if you want to be the champs. And they continue to come up short in the games that matter most. Really good against Indiana and Illinois and Wisconsin, but not when it matters most.
Ryan, I think Matt doing another job would be real disservice to this audience because he shouldn't be a physician. He shouldn't be a teacher. He should do this. I think that's a little harsh personally, but I do think that as I write in the article that I wrote today, why weren't they covering Arian Smith? Why do you give up 14? How are you up 14 and allow Georgia to surge back to win that game? Why was Arian Smith running wide open for a 76-yard touchdown, Ryan, after a Ohio State 3-and-out? Excuse me. Why didn't Ohio State kill the clock more? Why couldn't they? Why did they let Stetson Bennett walk the dog on their asses in the 4th quarter with everything on the line? And Stetson's out there like there's no problem at all. They could have run the clock down completely to where that was the game-winning catch with A.D. Mitchell. And then at the end of the day, Ryan, I just think Ryan Day just didn't have a good close to the game. Do you want to point finger or one last thing real quick before I throw it to you. I don't mind Ryan Day explaining the process here. I am not mad with Ryan Day. I don't know if I would have shared all of those details. He's upset. I get it. I think the grievance from Buckeye Nation, if you want to call them that, get over it, y'all. Georgia's gotten screwed in the past. They've lost national championship games on the last play of the game in that building. I mean, but that, I can't remember the kid's name anymore that was on sides, but they called it offsides. Help me.
Tyler Simmons.
That Tyler Simmons was onside and blocked that kick, and they called him offside. Doesn't mean Georgia would have won the game had he. We don't know what we don't know. We know that Tua is a college football legend now because he made an amazing throw after making a really poor decision on 1st down. Get over it,
He
Ohio
was
State
wide
fans.
open. I don't know. I
Ryan
wouldn't call
Day,
that
Ryan,
wide. He's wide open.
he
I'm
was
saying.
wide open, but it was a great play. Ryan Day, I get it. It's everybody else, and I'm like, hey, look, y'all, you lost. That's it.
Well, even the last drive, they could have put themselves in better position to have
No question.
a better field goal attempt, and they just seemed like those last 3 or 4 plays, it was like, what are you doing? That's when it was kind of like, oh, okay, Georgia's going to hold on, and then they missed the field goal at the end. I think that
You thought Georgia was
it's
going to win for sure?
at what point?
Okay, I was just going to say. When, all right, we'll do this just real quick at 3, 2, 1. At what moment did you think Georgia was going to win the game? 3, 2, 1. The last play.
God, Arian Smith
Mine
for
was the
me.
Aaron
Oh,
Smith
oh,
touchdown
y'all
for
thought
me.
they
Yeah.
were gonna. Boy, y'all are just like
Yeah,
y'all got some real faith in Kirby and the Dogs.
I thought that
They're
was the
better than
turning
everybody,
point,
man.
and I
They
thought they're
are
going to come
better than
back and
every.
win this game. Yeah,
They are better than everybody. When Arian Smith made that catch right at me, I mean, I knew Ohio State was in serious trouble then, but they just couldn't grind it out any further. Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, we saw the blueprint with Missouri. We knew what they were made of.
Yeah.
It's funny how much comes back to that weekend. But just over the last 2 years, they've grinded it out when they needed to, and the momentum matters a lot. And it felt like they were going to win that game. It just felt like they were going to win that game. If Arian Smith's that wide open, they were scoring when they needed to. Stetson in the fourth quarter was amazing,
Yeah.
very accurate. Was really flinging it around. There was just a lot of emotion inside that stadium, and it was all towards Georgia's favor in the fourth quarter.
All right, last comment, Matt.
yeah. They wanted it more, like Ryan said, and they started when that play happened. The deep ball to Arian Smith right after that 3-and-out. You could see things kind of going Georgia's way, and they took that momentum and they ran with it. And I get why these Ohio State fans are salty. They're a very proud fan base, and that's a program that is consistently winning, but just haven't got to that championship. I guess it's 15. So they're right there, and they thought they got screwed against Clemson a couple of years ago. And, when a game like this happens, which is kind of back and forth.
No one out grievances Clemson. You'll have to fill me on the Ohio State thing. What happened there?
Are you talking about
That
the
fumble
pick from a few years ago? The fumble?
Yeah, there was the fumble, but they're still crying about that, right? About that particular play that changed that game.
Are they
in the
aware
playoffs.
Are they aware that they played Clemson like the king of grievances?
That's right. They would have lost to Alabama the next week, but in this case, they knew they would have beat TCU, and so that's what makes the loss even harder.
I don't really know what else to add. I thought it was a very. I mean, I don't hate Ryan Day for this, but like, boy, that better be the last time he says something about it because it's done. And as Don Draper,
you gotta move on.
Yeah, as Don Draper would say, I have one. I only move forward in my life, and I think Ryan Day should do that himself.